Hi. So I'm doing this thing with home movies. I got all these recordings from when we go on trips and just life in general. So enjoy. One year we went to Rome and it was lovely. We had the opportunity to visit the Vatican and it was a truly impressive experience, marveling at its Roman inspired architecture from the High Renaissance. This is St. Peter's Basilica. To put it simply, the Basilica is like the Pope's Church, and St. Peter's Square felt like the entry gates to the Vatican. And there's so much history to this church. So many artists and architects have contributed to it over the years. The writing on the buildings are in the ancient Roman language Latin. There's a museum there, and one can spend years looking at everything, but we just went for an hour. Look at this obelisk in the middle of the square. Cool, right? Of course, I wasn't alone. I was accompanied by my lovely wife, Yanka. And the place is just beautiful. It's one of the things that you have to see in your lifetime. St. Peter's Basilica is a world destination, and lots of people from all over the world want to go visit it. So, of course, lots of visitors were lining up to take a look inside at the grandeur. However, it didn't feel very crowded when we were there. They made Yanka wear a sweater because she had her shoulders exposed. Women can't do that as per the dress code. And this is a list of all the popes. All the popes are listed here. The last entry was Johannes Paulus Secundus, or the second, right? John Paul II in 2005. I guess these are the years when the popes passed away. Here's the Pietà. The Pietà is a famous sculpture by Michelangelo. It's smaller than I thought it would be. It's behind glass too, and I guess that makes sense as they want to protect it. The basilica itself is just gorgeous. It's opulent. We soaked in the opulence and magnificence of the surroundings. I'm trying to use bigger adjectives, and yes, we'll look at these words in class. And then we left. It was time to do some more sightseeing, lots of attractions to see. Apparently, the Vatican has its own post office. This is a Vatican mailbox. Very cool. And of course, there are the obligatory souvenirs, lots of calendars, lots of postcards. I suppose you could mail a postcard from the Vatican Post. And then we started walking. We were in Rome, and when in Rome, you walk. Actually, the expression is when in Rome, do as the Romans. So maybe our Gringos Chilenos shirts were not very fashionable. And strolling through the streets of Rome, immersing ourselves in the city's charm, we saw some kids playing with a football. I just captured some street scenes on my old phone. This is what people love about Italy, or rather what they love about Rome. You could get lost in wonder in the city streets looking around at things. The streets themselves have their own character. One of the things that we wanted to check out was Piazza Navona, and the map took us this way. There was this passageway that we found that had a little cafe. It was all very pretty. Piazza Navona, wonderful, right? Lots of great architecture. It had been a nice day, but it got a little cloudy. Despite the threat of rain, we continued to explore. And there's Yanka doing a bit of photography. It's just wonderful to take a look at the buildings, the architecture while walking. I really enjoy walkable cities. And I really don't like how this car parked. Cars are always going to be a problem in cities, but what are you gonna do? People like driving still. We tried to take in more views of Rome. We had to take advantage of our time there. Here's us crossing the river Tiber again. And to make our way back to our accommodation, our vacation rental, we would have to go to Piazza del Popolo and grab a tram to Farnesina. We decided to stay close to the river. We saw a lot of Rome. This is just one segment of one day in a 3-day stay. When we travel, we like to walk to a lot of places. It's good exercise, and one really gets to see more and appreciate the trip more completely. Maybe when we get older, we'll take tour buses, but for now, we're very much walking people. We were heading back to our apartment, back to our Airbnb lodging, when I noticed the gas station on the street. It was so tiny. Everything on the street felt very tiny. I come from California originally, and everything is large there, but not here. I got distracted from the architecture and began looking at the streets. Here's a weird car. It's pretty ugly. And then I noticed the smart cars. We have smart cars in California too, but there aren't very many smart cars there. The roads are definitely different too. And finally, we found the tram to head back to our apart hotel in Farnesina, north of the city center. We love trams. We're very big fans of public transportation. You need to buy a ticket. The ticket goes into the reader here. It scans the ticket. The ticket has a magnetic strip on the back. Turn it around, Yanka. Yeah, Yanka had the ticket upside down. Okay, there we go. Now it's scanned. We love public transportation because it's so easy and affordable. You don't have to worry about much. It only requires a little reading. We exited the tram. We had to walk a little bit more since we were on the other side of the river. Over there in that direction was the Olympic Village. And this is Ponte Milvio, and it's really nice here in the late afternoon as the sun is setting. This bridge takes you to Farnesina. You can see that it's less touristic here. It's a more common neighborhood. It's more everyday. And as we were walking in this neighborhood where there's more Italians than tourists, I started noticing it more and more. Like, there's a whole bunch of smart cars. They're everywhere. Look at the parking. I couldn't help but notice the abundance of smart cars lining the streets. I started focusing on the parking full of scooters and these tiny wonders. I began documenting the numerous smart cars that I saw on the way back to our little apartment. There's one. I wasn't even trying to search for them. There's another. These drivers know they don't know the road, by the way. And there's another one. A total contrast to California. I don't know. Is it too many smart cars or is it not enough? I like the smart cars because they're really practical. They're really small. You can park them anywhere. I like walking, but I understand the idea of depending on a car. Maybe you move around the city a lot. Maybe your work isn't near a tram or metro stop. At the apartment, we changed clothes to go to dinner. And on the street, Yanka told me she saw more smart cars, so I had to record. Sorry for the shaky video. This was years ago and phone cameras were not as good as they are now. Yanka here is showing us the size of a smart car. She says she's pretty big. I don't think so. She's totally not big. Smart cars are just super small. And look, there's another smart car. And then another smart car. You know, you just don't have to look very hard to find more of them. Another one. And there's another smart car, that silver one behind the blue car where the lady's crossing the street. There's a smart car that's broken. It had an accident or some other driver hit it while it was parked. We went to dinner, we found a great place. I don't have any video of the dinner, or maybe I do, but I'm not going to share that with you. We had some wine. It was great to rest after so much sightseeing. And then we went to the supermarket afterwards as we wanted to buy stuff for breakfast the next morning. And this is what the deli counter looks like. I like to compare prices and items when traveling. I always look at things like that. Parking, store prices. It's important stuff. I got some wine for the evening. We then left the supermarket and there were more smart cars. Everywhere, a smart car. They're ubiquitous. Look at this one. Look at how it's parked. Amazing. One year we went to Rome and it was lovely. We had the opportunity to visit the Vatican and it was a truly impressive experience, marveling at its Roman-inspired architecture from the High Renaissance. This is St. Peter's Basilica. So to impress is to have an impact, right? To have an impact on someone. to truly impress, sincerely impress, honestly impress. We use truly to emphasize the seriousness. To marvel at something, when you marvel, is that you're amazed by something and you're looking at it and marvel, you're admiring it. To look, to admire. In this case, right, St. Peter's Basilica. Look at that. Ooh, I'm marveling at it. I am in wonder because of it, right? To be in wonder of something, right? To be amazed by something, to admire something greatly, to be in wonder because of something. Put it simply, the Basilica is like the Pope's church, and St. Peter's Square felt like the entry gates to the Vatican. The expression, to put something simply, is that, right? To explain something in a simple manner, but use it this way. That's good collocation, right? To put it simply, the expression, to put it simply, is a good expression to simplify. Right? Entry gate, like the entrance, right, of a complex or of a property or grounds. The gate is on the outside, it opens, people come in, they go into the area, right? Not like a door, because a door is for a building, but a gate is for an outside area. There's so much history to this church. So many artists and architects have contributed to it over the years. Over the years, it's an expression during several years or during several hundreds of years, right? We can think of over and the time. Like I could say, over the weekend, I did this. I went to the mall over the weekend, or over the summer, I don't know, Jim worked at his father's shop over the summer. The writing on the buildings are in the ancient Roman language, Latin. Ancient? Old? Really old? Like really, really old? Something that doesn't exist. It no longer exists anymore. You can think of other words like antiquated or antique or archaic. Archaic, you know, historically, right? No longer true. Ancient is the word. There's a museum there, and one can spend years looking at everything, but we just went for an hour. Okay, this one's pretty easy. One, a person, an individual. Like I could say someone, right? Or no one, right? Or everyone. But one is just, you know, one person. But look at this obelisk in the middle of the square. Cool, right? Obelisk. It's a thing that you'll see a lot of places. Like I think the Washington Monument in Washington D.C. is an obelisk. But the first ones were in ancient Egypt. It's a stone pillar. It goes up. It has four sides. Maybe it ends on with a pyramid on top. When I was in Rome, I saw a few obelisks. Of course, I wasn't alone. I was accompanied by my lovely wife, Bianca. To be accompanied by, to go with someone, to accompany someone. So when something or things are included together in some group, accompaniment, they are accompanied by. The place is just beautiful. It's one of the things that you have to see in your lifetime. St. Peter's Basilica is a world destination, and lots of people from all over the world want to go visit it. So, of course, lots of visitors were lining up to take a look inside at the grandeur. However, it didn't feel very crowded when we were there. To line up, pretty easy. We stand in lines, right? So the British, they say to form a queue or to queue. I'm from California. I say line up or to get in line. So we form a line, we form a queue, we get in line. A grandeur, magnificent. You think of like all the art, you know, all the architecture, you know, however much money they spent on making this, it's a grand project. It's grandeur in a big scale. They made Bianca wear a sweater because she had her shoulders exposed. Women can't do that as per the dress code. To expose, right? It's in the name, right? X, like outside, to expose, and position, pose, outside, expose. I like etymology. It helps me understand words. So yeah, but that one is to uncover, right? To position outside, to make it visible, right? So to uncover, to make something visible, to expose. And you could also talk about like an expose is like a reporter or a journalist creates a story exposing something. They call that an expose. A dress code, pretty easy to understand. Dress, like clothes, code, like rules, the rules for your clothes. It's rules about clothing and how we wear it. And this is a list of all the popes. All the popes are listed here. The last entry was Johannes Paulus Secundus, or the second, right? John Paul II in 2005. Entry, we saw entry, like entrance, right? But this is a different type of entry, like when you're talking about books or when you're talking about like recording something in a logbook or a journal. So this is some information written in a record, in a database or in a book. It's an entry, right? Like I go, I guess these are the years when the popes passed away. To pass away, it's a euphemism. A euphemism is like a nice way to say something, right? The indirect way of saying something. So essentially, to pass away is to die. In Spanish, it's fallecer en vez de morir, right? But yeah, it's like there's like a nicer, softer way to say something. The basilica itself is just gorgeous. Gorgeous, right? Supremely beautiful, right? Breathtaking, stunning, right? You know, when I met my wife, I, you know, said, wow, gorgeous, right? And she's still gorgeous, but yeah, that's the feeling. It's like, here's beautiful, and then there's like more than beautiful, right? Stunning. It's opulent. We soaked in the opulence and magnificence of the surroundings. Opulent, big word, right? Luxurious, lavish, costly, palatial. Palatial, like palace, like a castle, palace, palatial. And opulent, right? So there's luxury, but then there's like kings and queens level, right? And so opulence, we can think of it as kingly, extremely rich, or costly, right? That's opulent. Soaked in, right? Soak, to soak is to get something completely wet. You just put it in water, you soak it. Sometimes we soak our shirts to clean them, right? If you have like a stain from food, like pasta sauce or something, you put it in water, you soak it. Hopefully it comes out. And then to soak in is like that. Like imagine you being soaked in something, not necessarily water, but you're soaked in an experience, right? You're soaked in your surroundings. So to absorb things in our surroundings, and to maybe to enjoy the things that are surrounding us, like we soaked in the experience, and then we left. It was time to do some more sightseeing. Lots of attractions to see. Sightseeing, right? Sightseeing, like the sights. Sight, right? Vision, sight. I see things. Sight is the sense, like you have taste and smell and hearing, right? And you have touch, right? And then you have sight. So you're seeing the sights. It's repetitive, but you're looking at the things. You're looking at the attractions. So when you're visiting a city, you're looking at the main attractions. It's sightseeing, right? Sightseeing. Apparently, the Vatican has its own post office. Apparently, right? To be apparent is to be visible, to be understood. Like, everybody understands it, it's apparent, right? Everybody sees it, it's visible, it's apparent, right? So apparently, we use it to say something is clearly visible or clearly understood, right? It appears to be true, it's apparent, or it looks like it's true. It may not be, but it looks like it is, right? So apparently. And of course, there are the obligatory souvenirs. Obligatory, right? Something necessary, something required, something mandatory. These are things. These are synonyms, right, for a need, right? Like you must. It's a must. It's obligatory. It's required. It's mandatory. It's necessary. Souvenir, a French word. We use a lot of French words in English. I talk about this a lot So many French words in English. This one is blatantly robbed from the French. A souvenir means memory. So it's a thing. It's a thing that we buy or that we keep to help us remember a place, right? It's a memento. A memento is another word. A souvenir, a memento, a keepsake. Lots of calendars, lots of postcards. A postcard is a card with a picture that you put in the post. Typically, you send it without an envelope. The idea is that you just write a message. Hello, greetings from Slovakia. Hello, greetings from Chile. Hello, greetings from California. You send it to your friends or your grandmother. Your grandmother likes postcards. I don't know. Now with technology, do we need postcards? You don't need it, but they're cool, right? You send a postcard from somewhere, it has a cool feeling to it, right? Suppose you could mail a postcard from the Vatican Post. I suppose. I put this in here because it's a very useful expression. I suppose, like, I guess, I think, right? To think that something is probable, I expect it, I assume it, right? Like, maybe I could say, I suppose we can buy souvenirs near the Colosseum, and I'm sure you can. So I suppose, and I think we use it quite a lot, so get used to it. I suppose. Actually, the expression is when in Rome, do as the Romans. Actually, it's not actualmente, right? And I'm saying this for my Spanish-speaking students that actualmente and actually, not the same thing. It's a false cognate. Well, hold on. When we say actually, we mean it's real, it's existing, it's fact, right? Actualmente in Spanish means at the moment or currently. So actualmente would be currently, and actually would be like en realidad, actually, in reality, in fact, actually, right? So false cognate, right? And strolling through the streets of Rome, immersing ourselves in the city's charm, we saw some kids playing with a football. To stroll, right? A relaxing walk at an easy pace, right? When you're sightseeing, maybe you're walking fast. Some people walk fast, but I like to stroll when I'm visiting a new place. Walk leisurely, walk at a nice pace. The word stroller is the device that you use to carry a baby. It has wheels, and the baby sits there, and that's a stroller, right? Because you're not gonna walk fast with a baby, or maybe you do, but stroller in the United States, the word in British English is pram. But I like the word stroller because it says, hey, relax, you got a baby, chill, stroll. To immerse oneself, like soak, to immerse is you're putting something in water. So to immerse is to submerge something in a fluid, in a liquid. And to immerse oneself, imagine that, like you're soaking something in, you're immersing yourself in something. It's when you surround yourself in something, to involve yourself 100% in something. And they say that for languages, you need to immerse yourself in the language. You need to watch the shows, read the news, read whatever in the language. You need to talk to people. I guess that's why I'm making videos, so you can immerse yourself in the language. I just captured some street scenes on my old phone. This is what people love about Italy, or rather what they love about Rome. Street scenes, yeah, okay, but a street scene can mean something else. Like a street scene is like a nightlife activity, or like the restaurants or things that people do. But a scene is like the background of a place or the activity of a location, that sort of thing, that it tells us the energy and the place. You could get lost in wonder in the city streets looking around at things. Lost in wonder. I included a clip of Bianca kind of like looking around. She was like, ooh, kind of lost in wonder. Wonder is a wonderful word, but it's a confusing word because wonder is something that doesn't exist. It's like imagination is fascination, right? Or curiosity from something that's typically amazing, right? Like, children do this. They look at something for the first time. My son does this, right? He looks at it like, wait, what do you mean? Like, what is? And then he's like imagining things with it. He's wondering, right? The streets themselves have their own character. Okay, the streets themselves have their own character. Okay, but so I used the reflexive pronoun themselves, like myself, yourself, yourselves, right? Ourselves, themselves, right? Himself, herself, itself. I use themselves because it's the streets, it's plural. But I wasn't exactly using a reflexive pronoun. I was using an emphatic pronoun. Same word. It's just that I could say like, like she herself did this, right? Or like he himself did that. Like the Pope himself, he himself was there. He wasn't, but I could say that, I myself had to do the thing. By myself. That's a reflexive, but like the emphatic is like I myself, and the streets themselves. So cool use between the reflexive, talking about ourselves, referring to a person or thing in the same sentence, right? Or the emphatic, adding emphasis. Character, a person, right? You have cartoon characters, TV characters, movie characters, right? It's a persona. But in this case, the word character refers to like the attributes of a person or a thing, right? It's something that gives us like their nature. It indicates their nature or individuality, like, like the character of that person. Or we also talk about like character as a good thing, like a person has character, right? Meaning that they have good qualities that give them something desirable, right? And when you look at a presidential candidate, you're always talking about character, right? Is he a good guy? Like that sort of thing. And the streets have their own character. They have their own story. One of the things that we wanted to check out was Piazza Navona, and the map took us this way. To check out phrasal verb, lots of phrasal verbs. This one, you could tell it's a phrasal verb because it has the preposition at the end. Like most phrasal verbs, this one has a lot of different meanings, and this meaning is like, look at something. Like, I'm gonna go check out that thing, right? Like we checked out Piazza Navona. We can investigate, like, oh, you have a weird thing here on your skin. You should go to a dermatologist, or you should go to a doctor to check that out, right? Check it out, investigate. There's a pretty girl walking by, you say, hey, check her out. Like, I don't know, maybe. There was this passageway that we found that had a little cafe. It was all very pretty. Passageway, right? Passage, like a pass, like moving, passage, right? In a way, where you move through. So other words for this, other synonyms like a hallway or a corridor or a walkway. Passageway and a hallway and a corridor. Walls, right? There's a space to walk, and it's like a kind of like a tunnel. So maybe a passageway leads you from one place to the next. The Piazza Navona, wonderful, right? Lots of great architecture. It had been a nice day, but it got a little cloudy. Despite the threat of rain, we continued to explore. Despite something, I have a whole thing on despite or in spite of. Basically, it's the opposite of because of something, right? We went to Piazza Navona because of the rain. We went to Piazza Navona despite the rain, right? There was no rain. It could have rained, but it didn't. It was nice. So regardless of something. So, like I could say, like me, I'm in my 40s now. So despite my age, I feel great. A threat of rain, right? What's a threat? It's, well, when someone says something mean, like they're saying something with like the intention of hurting you. Somebody said something to scare us. So we were scared that it might rain, but it did not. I really enjoy walkable cities. Walkable. I like this word. It's very easy. Walk able. Able, right? Like you can walk able, walkable. Safe for walking and at a good distance for walking. Like in Southern California, things are not walkable because you live here and the supermarket is 2 miles away, maybe. You know, it's pretty far. And I mean, you can walk 2 miles. I walk 2 miles, no problem. A lot of people don't. You know, they prefer to get in the car, they get all the groceries, then they drive their car back, and then they're tired. They go to the supermarket and they get tired. We try to take in more views of Rome. We had to take advantage of our time there. You take advantage of something, well, you make use of something or make use of someone, right? Hopefully, you're not making use of someone in a bad way, right? You take advantage of someone bad, right? But you could take advantage of a situation, right? That's leverage. It's good. Make the best use of an opportunity. Like now, I have some free time. I'm taking advantage of my free time, and I'm making this video. And to make our way back to our accommodation, our vacation rental, we would have to go to Piazza del Popolo and grab a tram to Farnesina. To make one's way, like I could say I'm going that way, or I'm making my way home, I'm making my way to school, I'm making my way to the shops, I'm making my way to downtown, I'm moving forward. But you could also, there's another meaning for this. To make your way is to advance, to be successful. Like, oh, he started here with nothing. Got some education. Now he's making his way up and up and up, and he's making a lot of money. And we saw a lot of Rome. This is just one segment of one day in a 3-day stay. A 3-day stay. I included this one because I need to talk about adjectives that have numbers in them. Hyphenate, right? The little line right there, 3-day. That's one. With a hyphenation, you make it one word, right? So it's a word. So you can talk about the 3-day trip, a 5-day work week, a 10-day conference, right? 2-week vacation, 3-month summer break, right? Is it 2 months summer break or 3 months summer break? I forget. 9-year-old kid, right? A 17-year-old teenager, a 25-year marriage, right? We were heading back to our apartment, back to our Airbnb lodging, when I noticed the gas station on the street. To head back, well, this way or that way, this way or that way. So to go in a direction, I head this way, head that way, and then to head back, obviously, is to go in the direction where you came from. Head back home, head back to the office. Lodging, accommodation, we use the word like an Airbnb, which is, it's lazy. What you should be saying is my temporary apart hotel let or something. There's other ways. So maybe we simplify by saying an Airbnb. Lodging is the word, or accommodation. So get used to it. Lodging, accommodation, hotel room. I use the word apart hotel because that's essentially what it is too. Like an apart hotel, you could live there for a week, a few days. You could live there a month. You could live there a few months, maybe. To notice, I'm putting this one in to notice why. It's false cognate, right? Like in Spanish, it's like noticia, like news. What? I noticed something that I didn't see yesterday. You need to buy a ticket. The ticket goes into the reader here. It scans the ticket. The ticket has a magnetic strip on the back. Magnetic strip, right? Strip. Lots of meanings for that one. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna, strip my. No, I won't do that. A strip is just it's a thin, narrow material. Look at this. This is a strip of white cardboard, right? Perfect strip. I'm not an engineer here, but. Information stored on a magnet strip. Turn it around, Yanka. To turn around, right? Like I turn around. It's easy. A turn, right? You go turn around, right? So to move 180 degrees so that the front is opposite of the original position. Yanka had the ticket upside down. Upside down, up, down. The upside is down, right? So to be inverted, your feet up, head down, upside down. Okay, there we go. Now it's scanned. There we go. I use this one quite a lot. There you go, there you go, there we go. You indicate that something is done. There you go, there we go. Other words like presto, presto, right? Voila. Again, French and English, voila. Ready, something's ready. So, all right, all right. There you go, there we go. We love public transportation because it's so easy and affordable. Affordable, right? Great word. Just super word if you see it, affordable. It's not expensive. Like, I try to make my classes affordable. It's something that is priced nicely, right? Something that won't hurt too much at the end of the month when you're looking at the money situation, at your budget. We exited the tram. We had to walk a little bit more since we were on the other side of the river. Since could be a couple things. Since could be like time, like, she has been studying at the university since 2020. Great. But it's also like to express a cause, similarly like as or because or due to the fact that, since. This bridge takes you to Farnesina. So in the example, the bridge takes you somewhere, like this road takes you to downtown or takes you downtown. It sends you somewhere, right? Some music takes me to another level, right? If I'm listening to a really good song from a really good band. So to send someone somewhere, or to direct or to show someone to a place, or to deliver you somewhere. Like this bus takes you, downtown, this bus takes you home. Like there's a whole bunch of smart cars. They're everywhere. A whole bunch? A bunch, right? A large group of one thing, like a group of people is a bunch of people. Notably, bunch, like things grow in bunches, like grapes grow in a bunch. So it's a big amount of something or a large collection of something. It's in a bunch, it's in a group, right? A whole bunch. Look at the parking. I couldn't help but notice the abundance of smart cars lining the streets. In this example, I said I couldn't help because I'm using couldn't like the past form of can't. So you could say couldn't or can't, a modal of ability. I can't help, couldn't help, but, right, I couldn't help but doing something, right? You're not able to resist it. Abundance, a very large quantity of a thing, right? It's plentiful, it's abundant. So many smart cars in abundance, right? To line, we already talked about like people lining up, like making a line, forming a queue. So same thing, things can be positioned in a row, like along a street or a sidewalk, anything that's like straight in a line. Kate's parents bought a house on a tree-lined street. The street has trees on either side. It's lined this way, lined that way. The park is beautiful, and there are nice benches lining all the paths. I started focusing on the parking full of scooters and these tiny wonders. Once again, a wonder. A wonder, we already said it's like a fascination to wonder. But when something is a wonder, it's like a thing or a place or a person that is very good, very high quality. It's amazing, right? Like a superstar, right? And we talk about the seven wonders, the old seven wonders of the world, right? It was the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. What else? The Colossus of Rhodes. I began documenting the numerous smart cars that I saw on the way back to our little apartment. There's one. To document, pretty easy. Like a documentary is a movie that documents something in fact, something real, like animal life or something about space. Or I like the space ones, but documentary film does that. It makes a record of something that exists. So to document something is you make a record of something by writing it down or recording with video or audio. Sorry for the shaky video. This was years ago and phone cameras were not as good as they are now. shaky, right? Ooh, shaky, right? It's vibrating, it's trembling. My old phone didn't have a stabilizer. That's it's an old phone, right? So the video not great, but still good to have the video. It's not solid, it's shaking, right? So, and we also say, you know, like when you meet someone, you shake their hands, right? Like your hand shaking. And this is what the deli counter looks like. Well, deli, the word deli comes from the word delicatessen, and it's a type of restaurant, or not a restaurant. It can be a restaurant, but it's a type of shop that has all that cured meat, right? It's a place to buy ham, cheese, and cured meats, and other sandwich items. You know, great places. And maybe your supermarket has a deli counter. They typically have a person, like in this video, working in an area, and they cut the stuff for you at the deli counter. We then left the supermarket, and there were more smart cars. Everywhere, a smart car. They're ubiquitous. Ubiquitous. I like this word because it sounds cool. It's ubiquitous, right? For my Spanish speakers, the etymology here is ubicación, location. Ubiquitous is of a place. It's everywhere. It exists everywhere. Information is ubiquitous. You have it on your phone. You have me on your phone. You have me on your computer. The classes, I'm doing classes from Europe. I'm doing classes from Chile. I'll be everywhere. So I guess I'm ubiquitous. I'll see you guys later.